Hi, Blogging Heads viewers. It's Daniel Strauss of Woodruff and Strauss. I'm home today sick, but
I didn't realize you're sick.
I am homesick today. But the
That's
show
it.
is going on. We are recording now and all of that. And I'm
We're
here
here
with
for you, Blogging Heads
we are here
viewers.
for you.
Fighting
Uh,
through illness.
it is the day after the Nevada caucuses for the GOP. And Betsy and I are going to talk to that, but we want to get to something first, which we were talking about right before we came on, which is stop asking campaign reporters if we're going on the trail. Okay? It's a little annoying, and a few points about this. All right, Betsy, if you'll allow me to go first here.
Go for it.
If you
Take it away.
Okay, number one, all right, I understand it's a conversation starter, but if we're out on the obviously we're not out on the trail because we're talking to you. Number
Oh, well,
two,
we have Blogging Headed from the trail though.
we have done that. I mean, I'm not you
Oh,
like
oh, oh,
here,
oh, right.
but
Never
just
mind.
generally in the
Sorry. Go
questions
ahead.
asked. Number two, it's not super. It's not. It's sometimes it's useful. I found to be on the trail, but sometimes it's not. And some of the best stories are actually surprisingly broken from that desk with your phone and your computer. They really are, and that's just how it is these days. So anyway, I get
Can I
asked
give an
that.
example of that? Can I give an
Yeah,
example of that? So
sure.
going on the trail is obviously valuable, but I think the perception people have of what you do when you're on the campaign trail is very different from the reality, which I'll get to in a second. But first, an example of like a big deal story, a big deal campaign story that was not broken from the trail. One of our reporters, Gideon Resnick, was in New York during the South Carolina primary. And Gideon, because he's just well sourced with the right people, broke the news that Ted Cruz and Ben Carson had a secret meeting
Oh
in a broom
yeah, that was
closet
awesome.
at this conservative conference. There must have been 2 or 3 dozen reporters at that event. Gideon was not one of them. Gideon, I believe, was in New York, sitting in front of his laptop in like our offices in Chelsea. But because he got on the phone with the right person at the right time, he broke a story that changed how we're talking about this race. Was it on the trail? Didn't need to be on the trail. Like it's something that I think people don't always understand is that
Right. So
what I would say about being on the trail is that, like, it's obviously a great thing to do. It's very valuable. It's important to do it. It's important to travel a lot. The more you travel overall, the better your reporting is going to be, speaking very broadly up to a point. That said, a lot of what happens when you're on the campaign trail is driving. Probably the average day you're on the campaign trail, 70 to 80% of it is you driving.
Yep.
Is that your experience?
Yep, that's
I remember
true.
when
And
I
it's
first
not
started doing
particularly
this, being like,
scenic. It's
holy shit,
highways.
I'm just driving
Yeah.
back and forth along route. Is it 26 or 24 in South Carolina?
I don't
Whichever,
know.
26 or 24, back and forth forever, eating Skittles and listening to Justin Bieber and trying to feel happy about my life. By the way, can I tell a great campaign trail story? Something
Yes.
that happens to you when you're on the campaign trail?
Yes.
You get hit by a car. Happens to me. Literally. So my rental that I got, I always pick the manager's special because it's like the cheapest one, and it's just like whatever leftover car is in their car garage they give to you. And when I got to South Carolina, the only car they had was this massive Dodge Ram, a really big pickup truck. And I'm like, God damn it, I think I was such a moron. So I got it. I was actually late for a cruise event because I could not fit this Dodge Ram into one of the parking garages I was supposed to park it in. And to drive down to another parking garage, like, curses, I can't believe I have to drive this stupid truck. This sucks. After that cruise event, I was driving from Charleston to Columbia, going the speed limit, listening to Justin Bieber, eating my Skittles, obeying the law, totally fine, and all of a sudden, wham! Literally out of nowhere, this idiot inbred redneck in like a silver car smashes into the front of my truck, just coming off the entry ramp. Literally out of nowhere. This car does a U-turn all the way across the highway, spins out of control, ends up in the median, knocks me off onto the median facing the other direction, and I had to spend an entire day on the campaign trail in my hotel room on painkillers because it messed up my neck. That's what happens when you go on the campaign trail. Seriously,
And
it's
then,
true. Yeah.
and then you have to deal with the rental car and the insurance company,
Yep.
which, let me tell you, is a treat. It's a fucking nightmare.
You
And
get
like,
to
you know what?
meet
You know
so
what
many
insurance
friendly
companies.
and helpful rental car
Right. You know
company
what
here.
insurance? This is one thing. Also, I'm starting to feel sympathetic for people interviewed by journalists because you know what insurance companies do? They call you at a random time and they just start asking questions. They don't say this is for X. They're just like, "Hi, this is person from ABC or Acme Insurance." Okay, what happened? Where was this? Blah blah blah. Goodbye. You don't have the right forms. Like, it's endless, and you freak
Have
out
you
because
gotten in a car accident in a rental car?
I have gotten into a car accident in a rental car
Yikes. Was it
before.
your fault?
No, it's not my fault.
This one wasn't my fault either. I haven't gotten a call from the rental company yet because this happened on Saturday. Today's Wednesday. No, it happened on Friday.
It's going to be a lot of fun, Betsy.
I have a police report saying it's not my fault.
Good.
So, and I had insurance on the rental car to cover for damage. Who the hell knows? Anyway, that's my
Well,
that's my.
yeah. Well, this is the other thing that happened. Okay,
Stay in
but
your
like,
office, get amazing scoops on Ben Carson and Ted Cruz. Go out on the campaign trail,
but
get neck
we were
damage.
going back. I think you and I were both asked by someone about a Gawker article on
I think I
like,
was there, yeah.
yeah, and ironically, we're sort of reinforcing that, but there is value in it.
There's a
It
lot of
just
that.
personally to me, because I don't get sent out the most on the politics team. I get sent out some. It annoys the hell out of me to get asked over and over again, are you
Yeah.
going out on the trail? Where are you going?
Right.
All right?
Yeah.
It's just really awful. That feels so
Ugh.
good to get it off my chest.
Off your chest.
You
That's
know? Because, like, I get asked that, I think, at least twice a day.
wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I don't get asked that often. That's wild.
I guess people really want me to go away.
Are you leaving? Are you going,
Are
you're
you
going
going
to
to...
going to Alabama?
I'm glad you're okay, Betsy. I didn't know
Thanks,
about
me
this.
too. Yeah. Well, I didn't want to tweet about it because I didn't want like a million people being like, "Are you okay? What happened?" and having to explain it a million times.
Hmm.
But yeah, my editors are really cool about it. Very understanding. It was the least productive trip of all time, obviously, because I spent most of it like jacked up on painkillers.
But
Just a fiasco.
I mean, one thing I always think about with traveling also is that it's a status thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
to an extent, it shows, or to the world, I think, that the world sees it as a sign that you were, I guess, a serious campaign reporter. And I think, I
Yeah,
don't know, I
that's
have
true.
no metric to like measure this, but uh, that's, you know, that's it. I think it sort of just proves to like sometimes campaigns also want it because it shows that they're serious, right? Outlets will
Right.
spend this much money to be
Right.
with your guy.
Totally. Yeah.
But
And they like having a scrum of reporters following them everywhere. It makes the candidate feel like a
yeah,
candidate. Yeah.
they're like, oh God, Daniel, him again. What can I do for you?
The most annoying thing about campaign reporting, in my opinion, is filling out expenses, though.
Yeah.
Like, no
Yeah.
matter what, every single expense system is always the worst thing in the world. No matter
We
what.
have something to do that, and it goes on. It's all, but
Is
traveling.
your expense system does it not wreck your life?
It it is
Do you
like,
not hate it? Do you not want to like
I don't know.
destroy the computer software and
We have we use Expenseit and Concur solutions, and we have a cool function that sort of scans it. It's a little frightening. It's very Skynet. The team is gonna they're gonna take over.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad we're in agreement on this, Betsy. It is cool. I was just moved over to covering Dems and Bernie, and my colleague is traveling on Air Bernie, and I'm super jealous.
Oh man.
Although he was grumbling, like, we've exiled Gabe for about a month going onward, and so
Yeah.
I think he's ready to come home for a little bit. So speaking of the states, Donald Trump.
Yeah, so hopefully he won't put journalists in jail when he's president.
It's gonna happen, right?
I mean,
since last we talked, Jeb dropped out, right?
Yes.
And that was
I think other people dropped out too.
Yeah, I think so. So who do
Have
we
we
have?
talked since Rand Paul dropped out?
Maybe not. Maybe,
I don't know. A lot of people are dropping
a
out.
lot of people are
Yeah.
dropping out. Yeah, and we're down to 5-4. We're down to
5. Carson, Kasich, Bush. No. Cruz, Rubio, Trump.
yeah,
5.
5 from
At debate
17.
stage, it's
Yeah,
getting a
no
little
more. You know what?
sparse.
I kind of liked the competition for the main stage and the undercard stuff. I really did, actually.
I liked Jeb Bush and Donald Trump going back and forth. That's what I liked.
You're at 4. I'm at 42.
You're gonna fall off the stage.
You know, very low energy, very bad. I'm working on
Sad.
my Trump impression right now these days. Yeah, and you know, I mean, it's the funny thing about it. So, like, in the end, Bush was trying to make substantive hits. I remember the last debate, and Trump would just kept trying to interject that, like, the Right to Rise super PAC spent so much money, right? Like,
Yeah.
it was such a weird, like, he was like, he should be very $50 million. He's gone nowhere. Total loser.
My
You know?
favorite quote that I've gotten maybe this cycle is from Max Stepanovich, who's like a longtime Tallahassee lobbyist who talks to a lot of reporters. And it's just a great quote. But he was like, I feel bad for Jeb. You're running to be president, leader of the free world. It's like the most important job. And you get to the debate stage, and you go up on stage, and standing next to you is Clarabelle the clown. and every time you make a substantive policy point, she honks her horn. And you realize it's all over.
It's all over. Oh,
It's like,
God.
yep. So Trump's going to be the nominee.
So
If
Trump is
anybody
going to be
else
the
was
nominee.
doing as
It's
well
like,
as
and
Trump
there's
is doing, we'd be
I
talking
mean, we
about
have
them
a
like the
story
something.
out today on this. Like, it's very clear that the cavalry that should be able to save are the mega GOP mega donors don't want to spend money.
Yeah.
The establishment can't get behind a single candidate. Everyone's too stubborn. John
Right.
Kasich and Marco Rubio are going back and forth about it. Neither of them have won a state. And Ted Cruz is sort of going along, just hopping along.
I'm
Yes.
going to win all the evangelicals. Trust me.
Didn't
Evangelicals really like
happen.
me. I know they don't, but like they were like, gonna do. Yeah, I know.
So, I
So
mean,
Trump's gonna be the nominee.
Trump's going to be the nominee. There's no. I mean,
right.
we in a past blogging heads, Michael Warren and I talked about what's stopping him. Nothing has stopped
Nothing.
him. Nothing will stop him.
Right. If he was gonna be stopped, he would have been stopped by now.
Yeah.
If candidates were going to consolidate behind one person, if the big money were going to get spent, it would have been spent.
Right.
Hasn't happened. It's way too late.
And
Florida's winner take all. He's going to win Florida. Ohio's winner take all.
hey,
He's going to win
if
Ohio.
Trump wins Florida, that's it for Rubio.
Oh, totally. If
I mean-
Rubio can't beat Donald Trump in Florida, why would you think he can beat Hillary there?
I mean,
Like,
so
I
this
mean-
is. I mean, this calls in. I mean,
this is
You
a
know,
great election to be covering.
it is what.
This is a great
It
election
is.
to be
It
covering.
is.
It's so
We've
good.
gone back and forth, haven't we? Well, I've at least been
Yeah.
like, oh, I hate this because I thought we were going to do substantive, like 1,000-word things and like stroking our long
I
bearded
know.
chins about
I know.
the thinking and getting the pulse. No, this is great. I mean,
Nope.
you know.
So it's the WWE of presidential
Yeah.
races.
I do want to
Yeah.
highlight one
Presidential
story
races.
that I'm a little proud that I wrote yesterday.
Okay.
Which was on Bernie Sanders and Vermont. And essentially what's happening in Vermont is that Bernie Sanders is going to win by a landslide. He's going to own it.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be from the help of any of the Vermont Democratic elite, who, except for Peter Welch, Vermont's congressman, and I think the successor to Sanders, Sanders was a congressman
I
too,
believe, yeah.
has endorsed Hillary. So
Did Peter Welch endorse Sanders?
yeah, Peter Welch endorsed Sanders. I talked to him yesterday. He said, like, listen, I think a lot of the people, like, just threw their endorsement in too early before we really saw the power of the Sanders machine. And so that's where it is. And Hillary's people don't have a big presence on the ground. Their campaign tells me they're scrappy. Never a good sign for a
How
campaign.
sad must it be being a Hillary campaigner in Vermont?
I mean,
Like, past the Zoloft, you know? What a bummer.
you're in ground. Someone else called it ground zero. Oh wait, no. Welch told me
No,
he
it's
described it
literally
as ground
not.
zero for
No.
Sanders. You know?
Yeah, literally not at all.
I
That
mean,
said, Sanders is going to win Vermont, but Rubio can't win Florida. Kasich can't win Ohio. What's that about?
yeah, I don't know. Is there like any pattern we can derive from this? Like Sanders doesn't have a lot of establishment support. Rubio every day just ticks off another
Yeah.
checklist
Nope.
on
Another
members of
senator from a
Congress.
Mountain West state endorsed me. Nope. Another Midwestern governor who hasn't made national news in 6 years
Sam
endorsed me.
Brownback endorsed me. Yay. But
Yay.
it's not. I mean, what is this? So what does this mean to me? I just. It's so weird. It's clearly DC and the establishment
Right.
want Marco to get the
Yeah.
nomination, and then National Review yesterday, I think, had a story out about how like there's pressure for Rubio and Kasich to make a deal, sort of in sort of actually an Obama Biden sort of fashion. Kasich would get the VP spot,
Yeah.
and Rubio would and he would drop out. And I can see this for a lot of reasons because Kasich's kind of older and he's very off the cuff and
Yeah.
he wants to be goofy and fun like the Biden appeal. He's a little more disciplined than Joe.
He actually is kind of Biden-y.
Yeah.
That's an interesting comparison. Yeah.
He's crankier than Biden. These are your uncles from opposite sides of the family. There's cranky uncle John from Ohio,
Yeah.
who comes late, is angry, and won't eat the food. And then there's cheerful Uncle Joe, who won't leave after Thanksgiving dinner. He will not go.
Yeah.
No, you
Yeah,
can't
totally.
spend the night here, Uncle Joe. Okay? Get in your car, get back on the train, go back to Delaware. Anyway, so... So what do you think, Betsy? What's interesting about all this? Is there room for policy discussions anymore? Or are we just going to be hearing about
I think the policy discussion of immigration,
hmm
like there actually has been a lot of substantive policy discussion about immigration.
And is that because of Trump?
I don't know. I think probably. I think obviously immigration was going to be a big component regardless of whether Trump was running or not. We knew that a year ago. We knew that in 2014 when Scott Brown was taking advice from Sessions staffers on immigration messaging in New Hampshire, right? This is we knew immigration was going to be a big thing. We knew that ever since DACA and DAPA came down. Yeah, we've known that since beginning of age. That said, I think how far right these candidates have gone and how specific they've had to be is really interesting. I was looking at Cruz's immigration plan again this morning. Like, he's against birthright citizenship. He's, like, adamantly against it. Like, he's like, birthright citizenship is an insult to the Constitution. He recently came out for a deportation force for, like, mass raids to round up millions of people. Like, I think living in D.C., especially, like, if you are a U.S. citizen and you never have to worry about these things, it's easy to forget just how many people's lives that affects, and just how radically, right? Like, the question of whether you get deported or not is maybe the most dramatic way that the federal government can affect your life.
Right.
Federal government making you leave the country and leave everything. Like, federal government literally taking everything away from you. I don't think there's another government policy that can rock somebody's life as much as deportation, right?
Right. No, absolutely. There's not really. I mean,
Yeah.
it's literal displacement.
Right. Yeah.
And for some of these people, it's going back to a country that is not perfect or not ideal in more than a few ways.
Like in October, that several dozen people we deported back to Central America had gotten murdered. Mm-hmm. Like, these are the policies we're talking about. We're talking about doing this on a massive scale. It's interesting. It's very substantive. This is meat and potatoes policy stuff. And I think there's a tendency in the media to just kind of brush it off.
It's easier. It's easier not to pay attention.
Yeah, it's easier not to pay attention. It's just say a hardline immigration policy or extreme immigration views instead of being like, okay, let's go through the nuts and bolts of what Ted Cruz actually wants. Let's go through the nuts and bolts of what Donald Trump actually wants. This reflects the majority, not plurality, but a majority view on the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. This is what Republican voters want immigration policy to look like. Mass deportations, no birthright citizenship. That's interesting. That's a big deal, So to that extent, I think it has been a policy.
Well, that makes me feel better, Betsy. Then this really is the best election cycle of our lifetime. Okay.
I think it might be. Yeah. It's
I mean that's good. It's one thing I'm trying to think of like there wasn't a lot of the guys who dropped out were not big voices on immigration. So
no,
Rand was not did not I mean he didn't really get a chance to talk at all. But he didn't have
not a big immigration guy.
yeah, not a big
Obviously,
immigration
not
guy.
his passion, not what he's good at.
Right.
Not his.
Scott Walker, well, you had that great story on Scott Walker and immigration and just like his
Woo,
verbal
that matters.
Remember Scott Walker ran for president.
I remember.
Rick Perry ran for president.
Rick Perry. That was such a long time ago. It's kind of weird to think about,
It's
like, wow, it was a long time ago.
Bobby
We've been
Jindal,
through
man.
so much. I know Bobby Jindal.
It's
Rick
been a while.
Santorum.
I mean, the winnowing has started, or the winnowing is in full effect.
Yeah.
It is hard to see because on the left, Sanders has a delegate math problem that's not going away, right?
Right.
He's dramatic.
Sanders isn't going to win.
Right. I mean, it's very hard to see that, and it's just like the math just says the people want a Trump versus Hillary debate on stage.
And it's going to have insane ratings. And it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be Trump saying, he does this thing with his finger. I have many, many friends who tell me that around the world that they're laughing at us, and Hillary did very bad at State Department. The wall will be built.
Hillary did very bad at State Department. She won't build the wall. And she won't make Mexico pay for it.
She can't deny that. It's true. It's true. Hillary will not, and will say you're right, Donald, because that is a factually true statement.
Hillary will say you're correct, Donald. I will not be building the wall. Man.
Oh my God. Well, yeah. So I don't know. We should weigh in on one thing, which I did want to hear about. Neither of us are legal reporters here, but Antonin Scalia, and my old colleagues at TPM have been writing on this and been doing good stuff on this. So props to Tierney Sneed and Lauren Fox and that crew on that. But so Antonin Scalia died, and there's a vacancy. And Senate, why are you laughing?
I like how you just said, so Antonin Scalia died.
Well, yeah. And there is a vacancy now on the Supreme Court. And Senate Republicans are not in lockstep. Actually, there've been a few sort of like mumblings. I think Susan Collins and Mark Kirk in Illinois have both said we should have hearings, but most of them are saying we're not going to hold hearings. We're not going to do any of the normal steps or process. So not even like block him or vote against him. They're just not even going to like put on the usual sort of.
Not even going to put on a show.
Not even going to put on a show.
No pretense of interest in confirming a Supreme Court, which is how they have to do it, Because if they have confirmation hearings and if they have the whole dog and pony show, it looks like they're taking it seriously. At least they're being forthright about the fact that they're not going to confirm anyone. There's something bullshitty about being like, oh yeah, well, you go through the confirmation process and then we're not going to confirm you. Like, spare whoever the nominee is. Right. I get that. If you're not going to confirm anybody, why bullshit about it?
And the argument, and I think this is this is why the next year is going to be one of the most substantive in American history or politics, at least for a decade, because you get some healthy person on the Supreme Court, and they're going to be there for a while. And President Obama would love to like put a nice moderate or to left or even liberal Supreme Court nominee on there and just start, cranking out like rulings that tip the court. Right. For a long time. The court has been the source of a major pillar for the right. And not so much anymore if Democrats and liberals have their way.
Right. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
I don't necessarily have anything smart to add to that. I mean, it's a third of government, know? It'd be like saying, okay, there's going to be a Democratic president for the next 30 years. Or like, okay, Republicans are going to control the House and Senate for the next 20 years. Like, literally, that's what's going to be decided by the next president. It's like of that level of consequence.
Right, so you can understand
the
crankiness of all of that.
Yeah, so there's a lot
Um,
of feelings and emotions.
all right, Betsy. Well,
Well, I
I
can't
had
wait for Supreme Court Justice Carl Icahn. I think he's going to send some great
no.
decisions
It's going to be
down.
Melania Trump,
Mark Cuban.
Ivanka Trump.
Oh my god. Oh
So
my god. Yeah, no, but seriously. No, but seriously.
seriously, the nominee will be Trump, and like Scott Brown might be asked to be. I mean, Trump has mentioned this. Scott Brown to be his vice presidential candidate. It's
Scott Brown loses, though. Trump
he
likes
does. He
winners.
does. That's
You
true. That's
know?
true. So
Scott Brown has
who
lost
wins as much as
twice.
Trump though?
It's a high bar.
That is a high bar. If we don't know.
Jesus. Well, that's a conversation for another
That
day.
is all right, Betsy. This has been a fun, angry episode. I am going to. I'm really feeling sick, and I almost. Anyway, I'm gonna go crawl back into my bed now.
Okay, well,
It's
please feel
good
better.
seeing you. I think we're gonna. I hope I'll talk to you later this week. Bye, Blogging Heads viewers.
Goodbye, friends. Goodbye.